All right, let's talk about the secret sauce, the blueprint behind every single successful app you use. It's this one thing, this critical step that pretty much determines if a project will succeed or fail before anyone even thinks about writing a single line of code. So what is it? Let's dive in and find out. So I'm sure you've been there. You hear about a brand new app, the idea is genius, a total game changer. You download it, all excited, and it's just a mess. It's slow, it crashes all the time, and it barely does what you thought it was going to do. Why on earth does this happen so often? Well, it usually boils down to a few classic and totally avoidable mistakes. You'll see teams get really excited and they just try to build way too many features at once instead of focusing on what's important. Or they totally forget to talk to all the people who matter, the stakeholders. Sometimes they just have no idea how complex the problem they're trying to solve really is. These things right here, they're the silent killers of great ideas.
So, the antidote to all that chaos is something called a requirement. Think of it like the project's DNA. It's a formal statement that answers two absolutely critical questions. One, what exactly is this thing supposed to do? And two, under what rules or constraints does it have to operate? This is the foundation for, well, everything that comes next.
Okay, but here's the thing. Not all requirements are the same. They basically fall into two huge categories, and you've got to get them both right. We're talking about functional and non-functional requirements. Let's break down what that actually means.
So first up, we have functional requirements. These are the things you can actually see, the things you can touch and interact with. They describe what the system does. If you can point to it on the screen and say it does this, it's probably a functional requirement. Think of a login button or a search bar. Those are the features.
Now, on the flip side, you have non-functional requirements. These are the invisible qualities, the things that really shape your experience. They describe how well the system does its job. So yeah, the login button works, that's functional. But does it work in less than a second? And is it secure? That's all non-functional.
Here's a really simple way to keep it all straight. Functional is about what the system does, the features. Non-functional is all about how well it does it, the performance, the security, the quality. And this usually sets up a pretty natural division of labor, right? Users tell you what features they need, and then the tech experts come in and define the performance standards to make those features feel great to use. So how do you actually get these requirements right? Well, it's not just guesswork. There's a formal process for this, kind of like how an architect would design a building's blueprint. Let's walk through how that works. The whole thing is called requirements engineering, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a disciplined, systematic way to figure out, write down, and keep track of everything a system needs to do. The entire goal is to build a bridge between what users actually need and what the developers end up building. This process has 5 main stages. It all kicks off with elicitation, which is really just a fancy word for gathering every single idea and need from everyone involved. Then comes analysis. This is where you untangle all those ideas, sort out the conflicts, and figure out what's most important. After that, you write it all down in the specification. You get it validated to make sure it's correct, and finally, you manage it over time to handle any changes that pop up. What's really fascinating about this whole process is that the hardest part is almost never technical, it's human. That second step, analysis, that's where the real battles happen. Trying to balance what the marketing team wants with what the finance department needs and what the actual end users are asking for, that's where a project can either come together or completely fall apart. Okay, so once you've made it through that whole rigorous process, you actually have something solid to show for it. You have the final, official document, the blueprint for the entire project. And this blueprint has a name. It's called a Software Requirements Specification, or SRS. And here's the key takeaway. An SRS isn't just a plan. It's the official contract. It's the single source of truth that everybody agrees on before a single, so-called, brick gets laid. But a great SRS isn't just a long list of stuff. It has to meet some really high-quality standards. For one, it's got to be unambiguous, so clear that there's no way two people could read it and get different ideas. But you know what the real game changer is? Every single requirement has to be verifiable. If you can't design a test to prove that it's been done right, then it simply shouldn't be in the document, period. So why on earth would you go through all this trouble? Well, this is why. The payoff is just enormous. The data shows again and again that putting in the time to get clear requirements has a huge impact. Project success rates go way up, while the money you waste on rework and those awful schedule delays just plummets. It's the difference between building the right thing the first time or building the wrong thing over and over and over again. And that really gets us to the heart of it. At the end of the day, you can have the most brilliant engineers in the world, but even the best code can't fix a flawed blueprint. Getting that foundation right, it isn't just some boring first step, it's everything. It is the true secret to unlocking success.